Parshas Korach is all about an attack on the kahuna. So Korach was upset. Why is it that you instituted a kohen? Oh, today's shir l'schus. Refuah shleima of Rosh Hashana. Why is it that Aharon decides to take kahuna for himself? Moshe being a leader and Aharon is double. So I don't want to accept that. And essentially, Korach's fight was against the kahuna. So he lost the battle, and he and his men were swallowed up by the ground. And then Hashem wants to prove a point. And he wants to say, you know what? Never again should anyone ever have anything bad to say about the kohanim. So what exactly is a kohen? And what does a kohen do for us? Hashem says, let me put it this way. All the tribes, each had a nasi, a prince, and each one gave a staff, a stick. They had to give a stick, and they put the sticks around in the Beis HaMikdash. And they left them overnight. Aaron's staff was left in the middle of all the other ones. And they came back in the morning. All the sticks were regular. The middle one, where nobody could reach because it was surrounded by the other ones, that one, Aaron's staff, was blossomed. It blossomed, it was flowery, and it was full of almonds. And Hashem says, you see, that's the proof that Aharon is the Kohen. Now this stick of Aharon was actually kept for generations in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, in the Holy of Holies, to prove to anyone, if anyone ever has anything bad to say about the Kohanim, this will prove that Aharon is a Kohen forever. So if we want to know what a Kohen does to the people of Israel, the answer is almonds. What does a Kohen do? Whatever the almonds represent, that's what a Kohen gives. And that's what I want to analyze today. So, you know that what's special about almonds? Yirmiyahu, when he starts off his prophecy, Hashem said to him, I'm giving you a very unpopular prophecy. What I want you to do is go tell the people that there's going to be a destruction on the Beis HaMikdash. And that was a very bad prophecy. Nobody wanted to say that. Then he says to him, Ki sheiked ani al dvari la'asosai, and he showed him an image of almonds. He says, I'm going to be diligent about doing this. So the word shaked, what's shaked? An almond. But what is a shakdon in Hebrew? Diligent. A masmid, someone who learns a lot and constantly, is called a shakdon, shaked. So why is an almond the same word as being diligent? Answer is the way almonds grow. Almonds are so it says, I don't know, I've never tested this, but that's what it says, they're the swiftest fruit to grow. How long does it take an almond to grow? Do you know? Try it out, I don't know, but 21 days. 21 days is 3 weeks, representing to Yirmiyahu the swiftness of how Hashem's word gets carried out in 3 weeks. That's called the 3 weeks. Which is why, when the 3 weeks coming soon begin, it starts on Shivasa B'Tammuz and then ends on Tisha B'Av. How long did Hashem take to carry out the punishment from when they breached the walls of Yerushalayim till they were able to actually destroy the Beis HaMikdash was 3 weeks. That's why it's the almonds, because the almond takes 3 weeks to grow. That's the almond of Yirmiyahu in a negative sense, but the almond actually also represents a positive element. And that is the almonds in our parsha of Aharon HaKohen. So what's the almonds? That Aharon HaKohen has the power to do something swift. If you want to get a bracha, and you want to get it swiftly, you go to a kohen, and you get a birkas koyanim. And what does a kohen do? He gives you the bracha that's meant for you, that should come down in a swift way. So the question we want to deal with today is kohanim and their power. Which means, before kohanim, what does it mean to get a bracha? What does it mean you go to a tzaddik to get a bracha? You go to a holy person to get a bracha. What is a bracha? Either you're meant to get it or you're not. What does it mean a bracha? So, And we Jews, we love getting brachas. But what does it even mean? You go get a bracha, so I ask you for a bracha, and it says, Al tehi birkas hedyet kala beinecha. Don't even underestimate the power of the bracha of a simple person. Go to a simple person and get a bracha. In fact, one of the most beautiful things we do in Judaism is give out brachas. Certainly in Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur time, you want to bench people, you want to give them a bracha. But a kohen is a special power of bracha. What is this bracha? So, here's how it works. Every Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur we daven to Hashem. What do we daven Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur? What's your tefillah Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur? You're saying, Hashem, I need money, I need health, I need satisfaction, I need nachas from my children, all the things I need. Why do we say v'chosmeinu by ne'ilah? The signature, right? Why is it? Because whatever was decided for you, Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur, gets decided for the entire year. So essentially, your year is locked in on Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur. Correct? That's what we all know, yeah? When Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur, it's declared exactly how much money you're going to make or not make. Exactly everything is declared. If that's the case, Tosfos asks a question. You daven this morning? What'd you daven for? Hashem, give me curing and health. Give me money, give me parnasa, give me all the things I need. What are you davening for? Whatever was the creed is the creed. If you believe in Hashem and you believe in Judaism, then it's too late. So Rabbi Yossi says, Adam nidoin b'chol yom. Man gets judged every day. But if you get judged every day, what's the judgment of Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur? So what am I davening for? Anyone ever thought of this question? You know what the answer is? What's the answer? Could be changed. So then it's just a myth, the Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur.
This is what's the creed for you.
Right.
But you have the power to ask.
So this is the creed for you, and you have the power to ask to change it. Okay, so then it's just a game. Essentially, you get something, but you didn't really get it. You might get it, you might not. But what? Okay, so why is there Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur? Just tell me every day. Judge me every day. What happens to Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur? Right? And it's actually an argument whether Adam nidin b'chol yom, or you judged every day, or you judge Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur. But you're right. You are right. Something happens on Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur which is big, and then something minor happens every day. But that minor is the key to getting what you need. When you daven on Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur, do you ever discover something fascinating? You have no idea what you need. Like, look at years gone by and think of things that happened during the year. Like the most important thing you were done for Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur, and suddenly 2 days later, everything changed completely. Remember Corona? Did you daven for not to die by Corona on Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur? Yeah, the next year maybe. But that year you weren't davening for that. How about, what year was it? Shin Pei Beis, was it? October 2023? Pei Dalet. No, whatever. Were you davening that it shouldn't be on October 7, which was 3 weeks later? You have no idea. Didn't know what to daven for. You don't have a clue what to daven for until it happens. So how does anyone in their right mind ever have the ability to daven 1 year ahead? You can't even daven for today, let alone for 1 year. What does it mean to daven for a year? So the way we daven, we're going to have to understand what this means. In order to understand what we daven for every day, we go, what do we daven for Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur? So I'll give you an analogy. What are your chances of becoming a billionaire today? Or a trillionaire? Even nowadays. Is there a chance? Okay, let's say you were living, there is a chance or there isn't?
There is, why not?
Of course there is. Why not? Yeah, why not? But if you were living in Poland in 1722, what are the chances of being a billionaire? Not so much. Why? Why? Because Poland in the 1700s did not afford opportunity for being billionaires. Just didn't. America in the 21st century does. So does Poland today, actually. There's the possibility. Whether or not you'll be a billionaire, what does that matter? What does that depend on? Will you? See, the option is there. Whether you'll take the option or not, that's a different conversation. I don't know. Will you? Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur is like opening up opportunity. Whether you seize the opportunity or not, that's up to you. Well, not up to you. It's up to what Hashem decrees on you. But you see how there's a frame, and within that frame, there's what you take from that frame. Follow? Here's how it works. Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur, you open up a bank account. You have no clue what you want from that bank account. What you know is, Hashem, I want units of chesed. I want units of kindness. So I want to open up a huge bank of opportunities for getting chesed. And then what? And then, well, today is Rosh Chodesh Tammuz, Tafshin Pei Vav. On Rosh Chodesh Tammuz, I want to know, what should I bank out my chesed as? So what do you need today? You need a shidduch? Take some out from there. Do you need to feel good about your life? To feel happy? Do you need some money? Do you need some health? You probably need a little bit of everything. And a lot of this, and a little bit of that, a little bit of that, a little bit of that. So you're cashing it in on whatever you need. If you don't cash it in today, what's going to happen? It's going to stay up there and not come down.
Does it collect interest?
Because what?
Does it collect interest?
It accrues. Do you remember I don't know how many companies had it, but when cell phones first started, I had a company called Singular. Remember Singular? It was a short-lived company, and it had rollover minutes. So every month you got like 600 minutes. If you spoke after 9 p.m., you didn't count. It was unlimited minutes. If you called 8:59, it was counted as a minute. And you had 600 of them. So if you didn't use them, what happened to those minutes? They rolled over to the next month. So now you have 600, you use up only 300, you have 300 and 600, 900 the next month. Great. That's how it works. If you don't use your chesed, you have extra chesed accrued to you still remaining up there. So then, do you want to use your chesed up? Maybe it's good to keep it. What's better? I mean, it's like a bank account. Is it good to have money in your bank account? It's great. But you know that's a good idea to sometimes take money out and use it for things you need. Like, you're not living forever, so you use it to have a good time. And use it to invest more and to make more money. If you don't take out your chesed and you don't have the things you need in life, what's going to happen is you're not going to be able to live life and serve Hashem and do the things you need to do, so you can't invest. So it makes sense to draw out money and take it and use it. So the way it works is like this. Every day when you daven, what do you daven for? Whatever you need today, now. How do I know what I need? Because I don't know about anything about the next second. I don't know. I don't know what was the previous second. I know what I need now. That I know. So Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur, I'm not davening for the now, I'm davening for the whole year. When Hashem creates the world, He creates it for 1 year. He gives enough units to last 1 unit. 1 unit is called a Shana. Shana is a year in English. That's how much He gives you. Every year, the unit goes up and He recreates the world from scratch. Rosh Hashana. That unit is formalized on Yom Kippur. It's kind of like, I remember going and seeing babies being made in vitro. Fascinating. And the embryologist takes a joystick, literally. And she's seeing on the screen these black dots, and she says, that, beautiful, look at that. See this? Down syndrome. Because the chromosomes are a little bit off. And she put that one in. Okay, good, got the right one. When you're in vitro, you have the power to decide whether it should be a Down syndrome chromosome or not. Once the baby's born, if it was born Down syndrome, you have to deal with that. And you're going to have issues to deal with that situation. The critical time of year is when you create the baby. That's Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur. How do you use it afterwards? Well, okay, so now you have a baby. What are you going to do with the baby? Oh, that's also very important. That's when you draw out of the bank account there. So essentially, there's no argument in the sense. There's an argument between Rabbanan and Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Nassan, and the latter say that Hashem judges you every day. Rabbanan say He judges you once a year. And what's the answer? Both are true. He judges you and decides what you're going to get once a year, and then you get to draw out from that bank account every single day, every single moment. And this is why we daven every day, and this is why we work. Why do we work? If it was decreed on you how much money you're going to make for the year, regardless of whether you work or not, so why do you work? Because if you don't, it's going to stay up there in theory money. Theory chesed. So you have this wonderful bank account of chesed, but you didn't draw out of it. And the work of a Jew is to constantly draw out money. To draw points. There was a guy, a chassid came to the Baal Shem Tov once. He said, Rabbi, all I want is a child. Hashem bench me with a lot of money. I have all the wealth I need, but I have no child. And what's the point of money without children? And every year the Baal Shem Tov did not respond. One year he told him, you know what? If you want a bracha, here's how it goes. You have to forego your wealth. Because in your case, you have too much wealth. You're channeling your chesed too much into wealth, and you can't use it for both the wealth and the children. Now, I don't know how that works, but some people, the Baal Shem Tov told them, you can't do it. Do you ever see this guy who just became a trillionaire? He's South African, by the way. He seems he seems to know very well how to make money. He doesn't seem to know how to have relationships. Doesn't seem to be his forte. You see, he can channel it in one way and not in another way. He doesn't know what to do with it. Pashut. Sounds like he's a bit of a what's it called? A what? Asperger's? Okay.
I say weirdo.
It sounds like the man doesn't have, like he has this incredible capacity to make money and no capacity to appreciate human relationships. He's using up all the chesed Hashem gave him to the trillions of dollars. And by the way, thank you, but no thank you. If you ask me which one I'd prefer, I'd much prefer better relationships than having $1 trillion. It's nice to have $1 trillion, you'll be well known, but you won't feel good about yourself. He himself tweeted, right? Whoever said money can't buy happiness knew what he was talking about. I mean, need the money too. Said a lot of good things to do with it. But, So, yeah. So there you go. Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur, you open up the account. But then you want to take it out. So the Baal Shem Tov told this guy, you can't have both. So he said, I'm willing to let go of my money if you give me the children. He said, you can't just say that, go ask your wife. Goes and asks his wife says, yes, I agree. And they came back to the Baal Shem Tov and they had a baby that year. But when he comes home, he sees the house burns down, the forest gets destroyed. Within days, he lost everything. And he forgoed all the wealth and he had the children. Because sometimes you're channeling your chesed in the wrong direction. That's what it means. So do you ever notice, it happens to us in life all the time. Sometimes, there's a prosecuting force in our life. It's called Bilam. Bilam is the prophet of antagonism of the Jewish people. But he's a weird guy. Think about it. Hashem took the Jewish people out of Mitzrayim with 10 plagues. Hashem split the sea for us. Then Hashem gave us the Torah. And Bilam says, get rid of them. What are you thinking? Why would Hashem get rid of the Jewish people? What exactly is Bilam entertaining a thought? That Hashem is going to decide to suddenly get rid of them? You know what Bilam thought? Very simple what he thought. Bilam is the power of negative thinking. He says, Hashem, isn't it true that they sinned with the golden calf and you wanted to annihilate them? So he says, Bilam, let's focus on the golden calf. He says, isn't it true that they messed up with the Meraglim spies and you wanted to destroy them? Let's focus on that. All he's doing is drawing attention to the things to focus on. I was talking to a couple the other day. They married for 25 years, no less. And in case you think 25 years is a long time, it isn't. They're on the verge of divorce for 25 years and a whole bunch of kids. And now they want to actually knock it out. So they came to me to have a discussion. So I said, okay, look, let's use the discussion for one or two things, either for amicable divorce or amicable marriage. Same discussion. How do you discuss it? They're telling me all the bad things. She tells all the bad things about him. I spoke to them separately. He says all the bad things about her. So one idea was, they made up that that there's no money for a cleaning lady. They decided that they wash the dishes, you wash the evening and I wash the morning. His job is to wash the dishes in the evening. So, and he doesn't do it. So when he doesn't do it, what does she say? Yeah, to that effect. She says, very simple, listen, we made a deal, you wash the dishes and I do that, and you're not doing it. I said, no, does it motivate him to do it? I don't need to motivate him to do it. It's your job, do it. He says to me, we haven't got money for 2 cars, so I drive her to work every day. But I feel like an Uber driver. And I said to her, maybe it would be nice if you appreciate a little bit sometimes. I said, no, did it work? She said, no, it didn't. So I said, a little piece of advice. Let's try this. Right? With the dishes, I told her, listen, why don't we try it? How do you feel when he washed the dishes Motzei Shabbos? How did you feel? So I felt happy. I said, no, come on. How did you feel? She said, I felt good. I felt relieved. Okay, good. Go tell him that. Tell him. So once you know, when you wash the dishes Motzei Shabbos, it made me feel very relieved. Thank you. B'chal, when you wash the dishes, it makes me feel so relieved. Thank you. She said, well, and he's going to tell me that suddenly I'm being weird. I said, no, you're going to tell him what you're doing. You're going to tell him, I decided to focus on the good parts rather than on the negative. Because that's what I've been doing till now, either passively or passive-aggressive. The bottom line, to say, you are supposed to wash the dishes because I do the morning, you do the evening, that's aggressive. But if you give him an opportunity and you say, when you wash the dishes, it makes me feel relieved, he might just respond differently. And I told him, how about this? You want your wife to appreciate you when you take her the Uber instead of being an Uber driver? How about saying that? How about telling her, it's such an honor to drive you. It feels good to be able to drive my wife to work. Do you see how if you draw attention to the negative, you'll get more negative. If you draw attention to the positive, you get more positive. We'll see what the results of my little experiments are. Don't know yet. Bilam is the prosecuting force. He's what destroys marriages. How does he do it? He says, let's hone in on all that's negative. And you'll be surprised, he actually does a good job. He actually destroys marriages. He destroys relationships. He destroys all good things. What's the opposite of Bilam? Who's the opposite of Bilam? Aharon has a special bracha. When he gets up and he has a bracha, what does he say? Asher kiddushanu b'kedushasa shel Aharon v'tzivonu. Hashem gave us with the holiness of Aharon, and he gave us this mitzvah, levorech es amo Yisrael, to bench the Jewish people, be'ahava. Be'ahava. He told us to love them. That's what's beautiful about it. Give them love. When you give them love, what happens?
They give it back.
You see things in a new light and they reciprocate. Exactly. Don't assume that because you have something, you have it. When you get married, you get a relationship. That's like your Rosh Hashana. You got married. Now you are married to this individual. Mazel tov. Now what do you think happens? You think it now works? No, you have to work it. You have the frame within which to operate. But what you want to do is every single day, draw out your points and see things in the light of what you're supposed to be seeing. When you start seeing things in a godly light, in a divine light, what you'll see is good things. And if you see it in a negative light, with Bilam, you'll see that. The job of Aharon is to look at Jews and focus on love, which is why the same Aharon who gives us brachas, what does he do? Makes peace between man and woman and between friends. How do you make peace? What's the art of making peace? They say it's called bending the truth. It's not. It's discovering the inner truth. Because if I ask this husband, do you feel good to drive your wife? His answer is, I just want her to say something. But why do you have to wait for her to say something? You say it. Why can't she do the same thing? It's when you look at it in that way, then the brachas come out. What you want to do is take a bracha that's theoretical and release the energy of the bracha into the world. This is the power of a bracha. This is the power of Aharon. This is why we daven every single day. And also why we work every day, by the way. You work every day because you want to bring down the bracha. Hashem says if you work, you'll draw the bracha down into this day. You don't make money because you work. You make money because Hashem allotted it to you. You draw it out when you work. And you draw it out when you daven for it. You don't get married every day to a new person. You get remarried to the same person you got married to the first time, hopefully. And what you're doing is eliciting the power of the relationship by revealing it every single day. So the Kohen's Bracha is, Yevarechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha. Hashem should grant you, should bring down to you, it says, Yevarechecha b'banim, should give you the children you need, Yevarechecha b'mam, and give you the money you need, v'yishmerecha, and protect you mina mazikim. Protect you from all those who seek to harm you. Because there's many forces in your life that seek to harm you and to block the shefa from coming down to you. And the bracha is what allows you to experience the full beauty of what you have. You know, tomorrow night is Gimel Tammuz. And I want to share with you a story that I recently heard. The story was told by Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak Buket. He's a fascinating personality. He was a teacher, a Rabbi in Oral Chanan, in the yeshiva in LA, for 46 years. And then he just moved 2 years ago to his children in Pomona to live with them in New York. And we grabbed the opportunity in our yeshiva and we hired him by us. So now he's a meshiv. He answers questions from the Bachrim. And he sits down there, and I tell you walk in, you see a guy of his caliber. He's just a presence, that's what he is. You walk in and he's a holy presence. He doesn't even need to say anything. He just needs to be there. So he comes in for a couple of hours every day, and the Bachrim absolutely love him. And when he sits in Fabrengs, takes you to a different planet. So he told the Bachrim a story. The story is about, he tells a lot of stories. This is one of them. The story is about his father, whose name was Rabbi Chaim Meir Buket, Olav Shalom. He was a Rosh Hashiva over here in Brooklyn of the yeshiva over here. And this story took place in 1968, 69, somewhere around there. So he's living over here. He was, he was a survivor of the Holocaust, meaning I think he got out before the Holocaust came here. But his whole family was murdered. parents and all the family around. So he got to America, and he's living here, and his daughter married a guy by the name of Yerucham Silman, and they moved to California in the late 60s. They went on shlichus to UCLA. So a lot of students over there, a lot of mishugasim going on over there. And one day, soon after she moved, he became ill. He's in New York, he became ill. She told him, come to LA, get away from all your things you do, and come recuperate for a few weeks. He said, no, I'm not coming. I don't need this. And I'm not getting away. And she's pushing and pressuring, please come. So I can't, I'm a bunch of kids at home, and it's too much of a journey, and we have no money. A flight was way too expensive. So in the end, he decides, let me ask the Rebbe, the Lubavitcher Rebbe. So he says, this is the situation, my daughter's pushing me to come, should I go? He got an answer with 2 words. Kedaihu. Good idea. Worthwhile. Okay, that's it, he's going. No money for a plane ticket, so he goes by train. 3-day trip on the train with all his kids. Okay, they arrive in LA, they left on Monday, they arrived on Thursday. His daughter tells him, Shabbos, we'll stay home and you'll recuperate. He says, no, what do you mean? You have a Chabad house, a lot of students, I want to go there. She says, you can't go there, you just have to cure. It's too much work. He says, I got to think on the Rebbe, Kedayu. That I got to see what's Kedai about this. So I want to go. Okay? They go, they set up a table for boys, table for girls, and a center main table. He comes in, I'm not sitting by the main table, I'm sitting with the boys. Sits down with the boys. And they farbrengen. So one of the students comes over, and they're talking. And he tells him that Rabbi Bucket says that he is from Chemelniki. That's the shtetl where she was from. So the boy tells him, well, my family's from Chemelniki too. And in fact, here in LA, there's a Chemelniki society. In the late 60s, a lot of elderly Jews who got together and made a Chemelniki society. All the people listed. And he says, but they're all not religious, and they're very anti, actually. For a very simple reason, because they're Holocaust survivors, and they reject everything about Judaism. Want to come? He says there's a meeting once a month. It's on this Thursday night, and I'm sure they'll be thrilled to see you. A boy from Chemelniki over there. And sure enough, that Thursday night, so he farbrenged his boy for a few hours. That Thursday night, he invites him, comes over to the Chemelniki society. Comes in, and they are so thrilled to see him. First of all, he speaks Yiddish. Second of all, he's a sheikhet, he's a rav, and they're, wow, one of our boys, made it and big, and he's a little kid, and they all knew his family, who they were. It was so exciting. Anyway, he stayed with them for a few hours, beautiful. Then they sent out a letter, no emails in those days, to all those who didn't come, that Rabbi Bucket is here, and he's here for a few weeks, and if anyone didn't come to the society and wants to meet him, this is where you can meet him. Sure enough, a lady texts him, okay, not texts him, but calls him, and she tells him, I missed a thing and I want to meet you. I have some special thing to tell you. He sensed something special about her, so he invited her to come a couple of days later to the Chabad house. And he says he went with his kids and everyone together and told them all to put on Shabbos clothing because he senses something special about to happen. So he goes, and they meet her in the Chabad house, get together, and she says to him, I want to tell you something. Now, I explained to you something before. Rabbi Bucket was living his whole life with a terrible guilt, because when he was an only child of his parents, an only son, I should say, and when he left Chemelniki, so his father and mother refused to let him go. It was before the war, and they refused to let him go. So he told them that the Rebbe, the Frierdiker Rebbe, the Rebbe Rayatz, told all the Bachrim in Yeshiva to get out of Poland, get out and get to America. And he said, but my parents didn't want to let me go. So they told me, no, don't worry, it'll all be okay. Don't go. He says, finally, I told my parents, I'm going, I don't care. So he left his parents. And he came to America. And his parents stayed there. And they were murdered. And he lived his whole life with the guilt that, why didn't I take them out? Why didn't I stay? Maybe I could have protected them. You know, all those questions. Can you imagine? Horrible for a little kid at the time to be living with. So he lives with all this his whole life, and it's a real guilt. And at this point, his life was about to change completely. He says, he comes in, and this lady sees him there, and she says, you're Chaim Meir Bukitz. She says, yeah, let me tell you something. She says, I was in the train, which left Chmielniki, and went to, I don't know where, I guess Auschwitz. In the train, there was a window on top. And the train was going, and every so often the train would slow down. It was going quickly, and then it would slow down. And we noticed what was going on. And I was talking to some people over there, and I was with your parents on that train. And we were discussing that we should go up there when the train slows down, go to that window and jump out. And then at least there's a chance. Maybe you'll get killed, but maybe there's a chance you'll survive. Because if you stay on this train, you're definitely going to your death. And she says, your parents were there, your mother was there, and she told me, I'm too old, and I can't do this, I won't survive the fall, and I won't be able to get out. But you are young, and you will. And so I'm going to help you. And she says, I climbed on your mother. She picked me up, I climbed on her when I got to the window, and I jumped out. And I saved my life, and here I am. But I want to tell you what your mother and your father told me before I left. They told me that if Hashem helps you and you get out and you get to America, please find our son. His name is Chaim Meir Bukitz. And please tell him that we're very happy that he left. Because since he left, he's actually able to there's a continuity, and because of that, our memories can survive. And so, in case he carries any guilt, we're proud of him that he left. And he heard these words, and he got why it's Kedaihu, why the Rebbe told him that it's worthwhile to go. It was very worthwhile to go. It changed his life, it changed his whole approach. From then he drew real simcha into his life. And I was thinking, if you're wondering what a Rebbe does, that's what he does. He doesn't do anything. He just takes, it's like sometimes you're just living with the guilt for no reason. But the guilt is there nonetheless. And that moment, being able to get there in this insane encounter, like total Hashgacha Pratis, total divine providence, enabled him to realize who he is and what he's about. And that moment just set things straight. What does a Rebbe do? He takes that which you have, the powers that are you. You don't have a neshama, you don't have a soul because of the Rebbe. You have a soul because God gave you one. But what he does is, he looks into you, he sees where you should be going in life, what you should be doing, and gives you the power by looking at you, by believing in you, and by giving you that, like to break through all barriers. So here's what happens. Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur, every one of us is granted a power for the year. You're granted what Hashem wants of you. And He gives you that koyach for the year. Now the question is, every day, what are you doing with that strength that Hashem gave you? And what you want to do is every day draw from that bank account. And don't let the powers that Hashem gave you go to waste. Don't let the power Hashem gave you this year, use it. What does it mean to use it? It means when you have negative thinking. And when you don't think of it in a positive way, you're destroying it. We could destroy relationships. We could destroy all the brachas Hashem gives us. We could actually destroy them. Or we could choose to take them and make the most beautiful use out of them. Because Hashem gives us so much good. All we got to do is take the good from Rosh Hashana and Kippur, the good from whatever Hashem gave you. Look at the life Hashem gave you, in whatever situation it is now. That's the marriage of you and Hashem. And take that and look at it in the most beautiful way. Because if you do, you're drawing points into your own life. The Kohen is the one who gives you that extra power to bring it down to you. And that's what happens with the Kohen, with the shkedim. The almonds are there for the diligence. That the bracha should come down. You want to go to a Kohen and get a bracha. And in today's day and age, I think we want to go to a Rabbi and ask him for a bracha. I think, when you go to the oil and you sit there, what are you doing? You're davening and drawing down power from above. The power to say, allow me to experience the beauty of who I am. Because who I am is already the best person ever. Who I am, the koach Hashem gave me, the power Hashem gave me, the being. All I want to do is recognize that. Most often, it isn't anything more than that. It isn't about discovering something that you're not. It's taking what you are and honing in on that. And very often, you get to be the kohen for somebody else. You get, when you have children, you have people who you must be on. Take a look at how you view them and what power you give them, because that power becomes who they are. And you give them a birkas kohen. You give them the same bracha. So the kohen has the power to give, the tzaddik has the power to give, but each one of us has the power to give. What we daven for is that Hashem should let us see the truth of who we are and experience the beauty and joy.